Here we are. Let me see. I want to kind of block off my... This is hat hair. Hot mess, doing my best. Here's our Q&A, loves. I'm happy to be here and answer your questions. Your questions that you have. I just got off an amazing conversation with one of my new clients who I'm helping her with health, finances, and of course, healing from narcissistic abuse. So let me set my notes aside for her because I still have to email her. All right, my loves. Happy Wednesday. Okay, well, I know it's only been a minute, but if nobody shows up, then I will go into the questions that I have written down. Actually, you know what? I got a question with somebody coming into the group recently, so I'm going to use that question. Let me find her. This is a good one. Okay, we got a couple good ones. They're basically the same. All right. I'm going to use this one. Amanda, this is your question. You asked coming into the group. So how did I end up with them? How do I attract them? That's like one of the biggest questions that I get. How do I attract the narcissistic people in my life? How do I attract them? So I'm going to use that one. Since that's a popular one, I'm more than positive I've covered this before, but that is okay. I will cover it again because it's being asked again. So, if you don't know me, my name is Denise Kavaluskas. I am a women's transformational love coach specializing in helping women heal and men heal from narcissistic abuse so that they could create true love after toxic love. That's my jam. If you know me, I love concerts. I love 80s music. I love ball caps that I'm not wearing right now. I love the beach. If you follow me, you saw that I was just at the beach for 2 weeks. Just celebrated my first wedding anniversary with my husband. We had an amazing time. Cycle of keep attracting these toxic relationships over and over again. I was in my own 22 years, married him, have 2 kids with him, and when I got out of it, when I finally had the courage to leave, which it literally took a very, very long time, when I finally had the courage to leave and I started to date, I noticed, now this was before my healing, this was before my awakening, this was before everything, right? I noticed that I was attracting, this is what I knew at that time, I was attracting the same type of guy as my ex, like different versions, right? But different versions, but the same as my ex. And one thing that I knew was, oh, hell no, not doing that again. But I didn't know how to break that hell no to create a relationship that I actually wanted. So I knew what I didn't want, but I didn't know what I did want. Okay. Let me just check something real quick. Let me just make sure that you guys can hear me, because there was 2 people, now there's none. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. Okay, awesome. All right, so I knew what I didn't want. I didn't know what I wanted, right? Because when you've been in only toxic relationships with toxic people, how do you know what a healthy relationship is? How do you know what it feels like? How do you know what to ask for, right? So that spiraled into one of the last dating relationships that I had, where I was seeing this guy, and he basically created a very similar situation as to the one that I had in Florida with my ex-husband. And that was when, like, and I realized, whoa, okay, Denise, these people don't know each other, but they know you. And so that was a pivotal time in my life where I completely stopped dating, got off all the apps, and took a step back and focused on me, because I realized in that moment that I am the common denominator here. These people don't know each other, but they all know me. And I essentially am creating this. And so I didn't know what this was at the time, but I knew I was the common denominator. I had to go here in order to figure it out. And that's what I did. So what I did was I took 18 months of coaching. Not, obviously I didn't sign on to an 18-month contract. I don't even think that exists. But what I'm saying is that I went into coaching. I hired my own coach, my own empowerment coach, and I went into finding out, why was I attracting these narcissistic, or these men who were similar to my ex? How was this happening? I wanted to find out and connect the dots to why this was happening. And on that healing journey is when I had all these realizations, all the epiphanies of, this is how it's happening. So to answer the question, how do I attract them? Why do I keep ending up with them? Is because if you go back to your childhood, and you go back to who raised you and the behaviors of the person who raised you, right? So usually it's the mom or the dad who was narcissistic. Now, narcissistic behavior can be covered up, or it may seem it's covered up with addictions, alcoholism, other things, but underneath it, it's narcissistic behavior. So when you look back at who raised you and those behaviors, and now connect them to the similarities as the behaviors of the relationships that you've been in, right? Because everything starts from our childhood, and the energies that we picked up along the way, being raised by who raised us, our parents, right? And also even environment and stuff, but it's mainly the main people who raised you. So essentially, the narcissistic behavior subconsciously, unconsciously, is familiar to you. It's familiar. Even though consciously you're like, oh, I hate that behavior, I don't like that behavior, right? That triggers me, that annoys me, I don't want that. Consciously you say that and think that. But what's happening is behind the scenes, right? It's the unconscious part of you that's attracting these types of people. So how you stop that, how you stop that cycle, and how you never attract another narcissist again into your life in that way, because narcissists are around us all the time. You're never going to be able to avoid them. But I'm saying, like, to bring them into your life and form a relationship with them is to untie that attachment that you have to them unconsciously, right? i.e. healing. Heal from that specific thing, right? Heal from the past abuse, the past behaviors that you are unconsciously attached to, That's how you stop. You will never attract that type of relationship again. Because in the healing process, you're going to get to know yourself really, really well. You're going to love yourself. You're going to trust yourself. You're going to have confidence to speak your truth, right? Unapologetically. And so through that process, you change. So you're not the same person as you were when you attracted the narcissistic person. You're different. And so when you're different, kind of like, you know, separate now from the wounded, because narcissistic people are wounded. Now you're not so wounded. You won't attract, because like energy attracts like energy, right? So when you look at the narcissistic person, they're very wounded. And when you look at the people who attract them, they're wounded as well, in a different way. So they're wounded in mostly always what happens is one is trying to, is a rescuer, is a saver, somebody who wants to help, right? And that's a giver, okay? You're a giver. That's why you attract a taker. Givers and takers, now on the outside, it looks like these are opposites. One's a giver, one's a taker, but they go together because two takers wouldn't come together, right? A giver and a taker come together because they complement each other. They go together like peanut butter and jelly. So the whole opposites attract thing is just an illusion of what we've been taught. That's BS. Like energy attracts like energy. The giver is going to attract the taker. The taker is going to attract the giver. That's another reason why. Because you being on the other side of that, in that relationship, you are the giver. So you've attracted a taker. Does that make sense? Okay, so I hope that answered that. Let me know if you want any more clarity around that. Why do I end up with them? How do I track them? That was for Amanda. That was Amanda's question. Like I said, it's a very popular question. I get it all the time. Let me see. That's a similar question. I'm trying to get another question here. Oh, how do I remove them from my life safely? This is Debbie's question. And this is a really good question. So how do I remove them from my life safely? Well, you heal. The short answer to that is you heal. Because again, when you heal, you're a different person than the person that you is. Technique is the word that came to me. There's a strategy. There's a way for you to handle these people. They're not normal people. It's not like, hey, you know what? Get out of my life. We grew apart. I don't want to be with you anymore. We'll just sever the finances. We'll sell the house. We'll blah, 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 blah. And you're not dealing with somebody who is, you're dealing with somebody who's toxic. You're dealing with somebody who thrives off of not only stabbing you in the back, but twisting it. So there's a way, there's a strategic way to deal with these types of people. And in that way, you know, there's a lot of things that go into that. But how do you remove them safely is you learn, first you learn the way to deal with them. Because like I say, you're not dealing with a normal person. The other way is to heal. So that because when you heal, there's so many things that go into healing from narcissistic abuse. You don't take things personal anymore. So I had a client one time, a couple years ago, and she was divorcing her narcissistic husband. She hadn't worked with me yet. This was in the beginning. And there was this, I don't remember if it was a painting that the kids did, but it was some type of a painting that she wanted, right? They were cleaning out the garage and separating all the stuff. It was a painting that she wanted, and it meant a lot to her. So she says to him, thinking that she's dealing with somebody who's normal. This is the thing. You're not dealing with a full deck. You're not dealing with a normal person. She says to her going to be ex-husband, do you want this painting? And this is, they're always manipulating. That's all they know how to do is manipulate. Instead of just answering the question to her, he says to her, well, do you want it? Right? And she says, well, yeah, I want it. It's meaningful to me. I don't remember who did it, her grandparent. I don't know. Somebody was meaningful to her. Well, when she answered it like that, guess what he said? Yes, I want it. So now there's a fight over this painting, and he ended up getting the painting in the divorce. And guess where the painting ended up? In a garage, covered up, collecting dust. He could give two craps about the painting. And here's another thing. He could give two craps about the kids. I'm sorry to say that. I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but it's true. They fight you for the kids just because they know you want the kids, because you love the kids, because you genuinely love your children. They just want what you want because you want it. They don't want what you want because they want it. They're just being their toxic, manipulative, gaslighting self to hurt you. Twist. How miserable can I make your life? That's their goal. How miserable can I, especially divorcing, how miserable can I make your life? So I see a lot of women that go through divorce and they don't get the emotional support that they're looking for. They get a financial advisor, they hire a lawyer, and they hire a therapist. Those are the three things that they genuinely hire. And I'm not saying that those three things, you don't need those three things, you do. What I'm saying is that when you're dealing with a high confrontational person, when you're dealing with a master manipulator, you need to learn how to play their game better than them so that you come out of the divorce ahead. You come out of the divorce with what you were asking for, what you want, right? Even if it's just essentials, even if it's, child support or maintenance, whatever they call it now, alimony is what they used to call it, and a roof over your head, even if it's just for those three things. But if there's other things that you're asking for, this is where, you really need to be strategic in your planning. They will manipulate you. They will manipulate your attorney. They manipulate everybody. Everybody. Let me grab something. Hold on one second. This is my book cover, Empower the Woman Within. And the reason why I grabbed it is because there's a couple of testimonies from some clients of mine that I had a long time ago. This book was published in 2018. These clients I had 2017, 2018. And one of them says, I am in a high confrontational divorce with my narcissist. I have seen huge improvement in myself, my self-esteem, and my empowerment. Her support and coaching is eye-opening. I feel Denise was brought into my life for a reason. This was from Susan. Susan was a client of mine who, when she came to me, she was arrested. Again, they are master manipulators. She was arrested, and he used that. She didn't hit him. It was just it wasn't like she punched him or domestic violence. It was just, couples argue. He used that against her, and her kids were taken away from her. She could only, when she first started working with me, she could see her kids under supervision. This woman is the sweetest of sweetest. She is not harmful. She's not a bad person. She's not a bad mom. She has 3 kids. And she was treated like a pedophile or a child molester, where she couldn't even be alone with her kids. Her mom had to be there. A supervisor had to be there. Long story short, we worked together, and she got everything that she asked for out of the divorce. She got the custody she wanted. She got everything that she was asking for out of the divorce. I have another client who didn't have children, and divorced her husband. She had a large amount of money in a bank account in another country. And when she came to me, she didn't even tell her husband at that time, that she wanted a divorce. We worked together. She got everything. She actually got more than what she asked for out of the divorce, and she got a smooth divorce from her high confrontational husband. The other testimony on the back of the book is, I gained clarity and confidence and refound my power and my voice with Denise's guidance and accountability to dig deep and peel back the layers I had been covered in for years. This is another client who came to me before she told her husband that she wanted a divorce. And we worked together, and through the whole process, she too got everything that she asked for in the divorce. So there's definitely a strategic way you have to approach these let's just call them high confrontational people, in order for you to come out ahead in these divorces. Because if not, you're vulnerable. They know how to push your buttons. They know how to manipulate the system. They know how to manipulate you. They know how to make you look crazy in court. They know what they're doing. And their number one goal is to fuck you over. That's their number one goal. Excuse my French, but that's the truth. That's what they want to do. They want to screw you over, whether it's with money, the kids, the house, the whatever, or string you along. I have another former client who's still living under the same roof as her husband that she wants to divorce, but because of finances, she feels like she's stuck and there's nothing that she can do. And guess what he's doing? He's loving it, because he can have his cake and eat it too. So my answer to that question, how do you remove them from your life safely, is learn how to play their game better than them. Create a strategic plan, learn their game, and heal. Otherwise, unfortunately, you won't come out ahead. Let's just put it that way. It won't be pretty. And it'll take a long time to recover, because then not only do you have to recover from the abuse that you've been in, but you have to recover from the financial devastation that you've now incurred while he's out prancing around with whoever, doing whatever, sitting pretty. Yeah, the husband won't leave. Yeah, I have a situation like that. I have a former client that has a situation like that, Nina, and it's terrible. And I guess that would have been my situation too, but I was like, screw that, I'm leaving. And I left with a futon couch and an air mattress. Like, I was like, because I was running my ex's business. That was another way that he had me trapped, hooked. I could have felt stuck, and I could have said, well, my only funds come from from me running his business. My only funds come from essentially him. But I instead was like, I'm out of here. And even if I'm only leaving with a futon couch and an air mattress, it's something. I was willing to sleep on the freaking floor if I had to do whatever it took to leave that. So yeah. Yeah, well, and what does fear do? Fear paralyzes us. Nina says many women have so much fear to pack up. Fear paralyzes us. It freezes us. We will be frozen in fear. I mean, I was in that relationship for 22 years, and fear is just false evidence appearing real. Because one of my fears was, ladies, before I left, my fear was, because obviously these are codependent relationships, and I was dependent on him financially. My fear was, if I leave, where am I going to live? How am I going to survive? How am I going to pay my bills? And guess what? Hello? My life is freaking, even before Ray, even before moving in with Ray and the amazing life that I have now. Even when I was single, when I moved from Florida to North Carolina, I traveled more than I traveled to California, Colorado, back to Florida. I traveled, gone on planes. I traveled. I had money. Because you know why? Because sometimes anger is a motivator. And sometimes saying, F you, I'm doing this, is the exact thing that you need to push you out of that and to move forward. So my point to sharing that with you is that when I was in Florida, when I was in my relationship, I had a fear of, if I leave, what am I going to do? Which kept me in that relationship for way longer than I should have, right? Because when I got pregnant with my children, I tested positive for STD. So that should have been the biggest red flag to Denise to get the F out. But Denise stayed, had another kid with him, and stayed for 20 whatever years after that. So when I left, when I said, screw this, I'm out of here, my life completely changed for the better. And finances were not an issue. In fact, when I was living on my own for the first time in my life, literally, because when I married him, my first husband, I was 21. We were together when I was 19. My rent was paid before the due date. Every single month it was paid before the due date. And like I said, I traveled to Colorado, Florida, and California often. Colorado the most, and Florida. And my life was just freaking awesome. So fear is just false evidence appearing real. It's a story that the ego dredges up, conjures up into the head saying, you can't do this. Where are you going to go? How are you going to pay your bills? And you know what it is? It's 100% BS. You will thrive after narcissistic abuse. You will thrive if you choose that path. If you choose to stay stuck, no judgment here, none at all. If you choose to stay stuck, if you choose to think that I can't, then you will get results of I can't. But if you use the anger, like I was saying, as a motivator, and you say, screw this, I'm out of here, even if I have to leave with a futon couch and an air mattress, I'm doing it, you will do it. Look at Tina Turner. She has an amazing story of leaving with, 20 cents in her pocket? There's nothing that, it may look like grim and doom and gloom in the beginning, but there's nothing holding you back. You can do it. You can do it. And so if you want help with that, please reach out to me. Let me know. I have one spot left for my Summer Sizzle coaching package, which is you and me on private calls. It is at a very, very reasonable price. It's a 6-week coaching package of private coaching. And this is where I'm going to help you with where you are at in your situation. I'm going to help you get out of that and start to get on the other side of that and thrive. So if you're in the relationship and you need help getting out of the relationship with finances and stuff, I will help you with that. If you are out of the relationship and you want to create true love after toxic love, I will help you with that. Wherever it is that you're at, I will meet you there and help you to move to the next level of your life. If that's something that you're interested in, let me know. I will put my application link in the comments below for you to apply for a Heal Your Heart session. And that's where complimentary, it's totally free. It's just you and I getting on a call, me getting to know you and your needs and where you're at right now, and then talking about moving forward with support. All right, my loves. Thank you for those 2 questions, Amanda and Debbie. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and let me know if you need anything. See you next Wednesday.